Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Clangin Bangin with Mikey, episode 93. And today, man, as you guys can see, the get up's a little different. I got a University of Oregon beanie, and I got a University of Hawaii, basketball shirt on. I'm gonna tell you why. But first things first, man. Today's episode is gonna be about learning how to deal with difficult people. Um, whether it's your personal life, whether it's professional, and they're both kind of difficult to navigate, right? And what you got to realize, man, is a lot of people, whether they're being difficult for whatever reason, that coffee's still hot, and you got to realize that it says more about them, than it does you. A lot of people who are difficult, they won't bend it, or they won't make adjustments just simply because of for whatever reasons. And there's some people that you going to run into, whether it's your personal life or whether it's your work, your work life, your professional and personal life, that you just ain't gonna vibe with, or they're not gonna vibe with you. And a lot of the times, especially if you work in like a office type of setting, or whatever it is, because I've talked to friends who have they do similar jobs that I do, and they're like, yeah, like some people just they just don't have the social skills to deal with all that, or they don't have the patience, to deal with certain individuals, and they're not talking about them, they're talking about the other individuals, because this one person I know, they work in the office, and they would say, yeah, well, when I first met this person, they were standoffish, cold, whatever it is, they wasn't helping people, and at first this individual thought it was geared towards them, but then they saw a pattern, and they were like, oh, okay, so it's not just me, it's other people in the office as well who are getting this treatment by this individual, which is not warranted. And a lot of the times, man, it stems from, I don't want to say upper management, but a lot of it goes unchecked, and a lot of it goes unchecked because hey, this person may be great at their job or whatever it is, like they may have all the hard skills down pat, but they don't have the soft skills. And the hard skills is basically turning any paperwork on time, making sure reports are done in a timely manner, all that stuff, right? And the soft skills is basically how you talk to people. And how you talk to people means a lot. And that's one thing I've learned, not just in my professional life, but in my personal life as well. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I've been pulled aside, and I've been told by people like, hey man, I think that you a great dude, but when I first met you, you was real quiet and real standoffish. I thought you wasn't friendly. You know what I mean? And but my thing is like, that's just, I don't want to say that's a defense mechanism for me, because it's not. But if I don't know you, I'm not gonna be open. I'm not gonna be opening up to you, or being, super cheery and friendly, when I don't really know you yet, right? And so I think at the end of the day, it's imperative to know, your body language and know how you interact with people, because first impressions mean a lot. And I think a lot of times it's like when behavior like that goes unchecked, people who are doing it, they don't see anything wrong with it. And they don't see anything wrong with it because it was never brought to their attention. And when it is brought to their attention, it's really hard for them to change, because they're like, yo, I've been this way for X amount of X amount of time, and like it's not an issue now. And my thing is like, if you don't understand, ask questions. It's imperative to ask questions. Even the questions that seem dumb. Ask questions anyway. You know what I mean? Because it's like, the more you understand, the better you can do your job. And that's just on a professional tip. Personal tip, man. Yeah, there's gonna be some people that you just gonna be like, you know what? Hey, man, I'm cool. It's whatever. I'm not gonna sit here and let you, infiltrate my circle with your toxic, positive toxicity, which means it's like, you can be cheerful and and friendly and shit, but it's like, if you're constantly talking about people, or talking bad about people, or talking down to people. But like, yeah, people want to say, oh, but so and so is so nice to me. It's like, yeah, because they're not toxic to you. You know, there's always a person or people, you know, who are um who like people for what, you know, for how they can manipulate them or whatever it is, right? So there's things of that nature. Um and so with that being said, it's really important that you realize who your friends are, who you associate with, how you associate with people, and how you talk to people too. You know, uh, because you don't want to be stuck in a situation in either realm, or either arena, you know, where you got to deal with somebody who's a toxic individual, because it's not fun. But yeah, getting back to my fit. Funny story. I actually was supposed to go to the University of Oregon. I was in community college, and this is like 2007, 2008. I was like 19, 20 at the time, right? I was just so set on getting out of Hawaii. And I was like, I wanted to leave. I just, you know, like, I just wanted to be on my own. I wanted to make my own mistakes. And the 19-year-old version of me thought I knew everything. You know, thought I knew it all. I ain't know shit. Still learning, you know. I'll be 34 in like what? There's the 17th, so I'll be 34 in like two weeks, you know, 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Yeah. Anyway, man, so I applied for the University of Hawaii, you know, home state schools. I knew I was gonna get in. University of Oregon, I think it was I want to say either I had applied to request information from USC, or I had applied to the school. One or the other, right? I just don't remember it, because that was like that was like 15, 16 years ago. So you know, that was a long time ago. And I remember I got the letter from Oregon and whatnot, and I ended up not getting in because I couldn't, you know, I didn't send in my transcripts in time, right? Because I sent them in, but I didn't, but there was a deadline and I missed the deadline. And my grades are good enough where I knew I could get in. And so I ended up going to UH because, well, number one, it was a cost factor too, because I had an academic scholarship for the University of Hawaii. And you know, my parents weren't rich by any means or anything like that, you know, and I wasn't about to make them pay. I think at that time it was $10,000 a year for out-of-state tuition for University of Oregon. When I had an academic scholarship for UH, because I think the tuition itself, it didn't cover books and room and board or anything like that, right? And so I opted to stay home, you know, stay home and go to UH. And it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made in my life. Because I left school with no debt. You know, I left school with a 4-year degree. And a lot of my friends from my college days, I still keep in contact with them, man. And granted, it's like, I kind of sit back and I realize, like, oh, you know, how different my life would have been if I would have went to the University of Oregon. You know, I probably would have, and I probably would have never met some of my best friends. I probably would have never done the things I've done, you know, and I probably would have never been as confident as I am, you know, right now. And because at the end of the day, when I got rejected from basically it was a rejection from the University of Oregon, and a lot of people hear no, and they think no is a negative thing, and I constantly tell people, it's like, yo, no just stands for next opportunity. Be like, what? But yeah, no stands for NO, next opportunity. Because I'm a firm believer, if that didn't work out for you, then there's something else that will, you know, and that ties back into what I was saying earlier. with their professional and personal life. And I think it's extremely important to realize that not every no is a negative. Every no is basically setting yourself up for something else that's better. And who knows, man? Like a lot of the times, it's like people are so afraid to to do what they have to do or do what they want to do, you know. So they end up taking a job in a career they don't really care for because they got bills and everything too, and it's like you end up getting caught up in this cycle of just repeated, work 9 to 5. If you got kids, you got to pay bills, child care, all that shit, and I get it. Everything's expensive. I understand that. And so, with that being said, man, I think everything plays into a role. And my alma mater last night, we finally won a conference game. So, yay, that's great. I'm proud of them boys, man. Kids work hard. But yeah, in terms of everything, man, like I was saying for this podcast, yeah, professional and personal, yeah, everything matters. Everything plays a role. And you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. I'm gonna say it again. You can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. Do with that what you will. And this is about 12 or so minutes that you won't ever get back. And I hope y'all keeping the 4 P's. Private player, positive pushing. See y'all next week. Love y'all. Ghost. And like I always say, know your worth. All right, y'all. Ghost.